Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. My question for you today, what would you choose for a long, happy, safe life? Would you choose a self-defense tool like my Pepperball TCP? Would you choose this as your main focus of your time and your effort? Or would you choose something else that's on my table here? Maybe some fruits, maybe you would throw out the burger, focus on some things that are healthy and good for you. A lot of times we prioritize things for things that are very small potential, and we don't focus on the things that are going to give us the most potential in terms of our longevity and our health and our safety. I know risk assessment is not something that we normally get so excited about, but I have to talk about it. Mango and I think about this a lot, so stay tuned. I have a lot to say about this. So what really gets you excited and active that would be like an armed attacker, but what makes you much more relaxed and complacent? Well, that might be like being attacked from inside with a disease or a cancer. So think about these two situations. There's one that gets you really excited, one that makes you complacent and relaxed and you know you've got time. But which one is more important? Which one is more likely to cause you harm in the future? Well, let's look at some of these nesting dolls that we have, and let me make a few points here. Opening them one by one, and let's see some relative proportions of risk with a visual perspective. And I'll open it up, and you can see there's another one. And so the point that I want to try to convey with this thing is that this is your risk of getting cancer. Which we're all familiar with, and this is a life-threatening disease, and it's really insidious. There's so many ways in which cancer cells can evade the immune system, can evade cancer treatments, and this is a pretty sizable object. This is your risk for cancer. And as you start taking these apart, you see smaller and smaller sizes here. And what I want to show you is as we continue to take these apart and they get smaller and smaller, these are getting closer to what your risk is of being a victim of a homicide or other type of violent crime that results in your death. Whether it's suicide, whether it's vehicular homicide, or whether it's being attacked with a firearm. And so as you can see, as I get further and further down, it gets smaller and smaller. And so this is your risk of cancer, and I could put it wherever you can see it. And this is progressively getting less as you're younger. So a person that is less than 20 years old has a 25 in 100,000 chance of getting cancer, whereas a person who is 45 to 49 has a 350 out of 100,000 chance of getting cancer. And then this is a person above 60, where your chance is greater than 1,000 out of 100,000. So the risk of being a victim of a homicide is 6 in 100,000. And so that basically represents this thing right here. So this is your risk. If let's say you're the typical age of the demographics of the viewers of my channel, and you're in this range where you're 45, 50 years old, middle age, risk 350 in 100,000. And this is your risk of being a victim of a violent crime and a homicide. So relative proportion, you can see that there's not a close comparison there. So I think it's really important to think about holistically how you approach risk, and whether you spend more time focused on the small risk here, or do you spend more time focused on the larger risk? And relative to each other, how much time do you spend? I say cancer, I don't mean that you can prevent cancer completely, but there's a lot of chemopreventive things that people can do, just in particular with their health, their nutrition, their diet, exercise, lots of things you can do. So I think I just wanted to make that point. Some populations which have a little higher than this risk, in particular, for example, motor vehicles and suicide might be a little bit more. But overall, these are factors that are relatively small compared to the risk of cancer. And I just choose cancer because it's age dependent, and if you're less than 20 here, or you're middle age, or you're over 60, your risk is going to increase. But then hopefully you can implement some measures in your life and your lifestyle, the way you eat, the way you take care of your cardiovascular fitness and other things. All of these things work in your favor for trying to reduce this risk. It's inevitable that this risk is going to occur. There's not a lot you can do to stop it, but if you just keep things in proportion to the big dramatic things. Now, of course, when this event happens, you can see how no matter how small or no matter how big the difference, this is going to be traumatic, this is going to be life-changing, but this is going to be a rare incident that may or may not ever happen statistically in your lifetime. But you can prepare for that, and that's what we do. That's what the less lethal community is all about, as well as the firearm community. But for these, it requires the monotonous, day-by-day, boring lifestyle changes that are more challenging for people to implement and to stick with it, because that risk is not something that you see every day. You don't read about it in the headlines every day, and it's a vague, more ambiguous risk. We know there's a risk. We know there's a risk associated with aging. We know there are certain other factors which can contribute to that risk, but it's easy to put it off. It's easy to say, well, that's down the road, or that's not something that I just have the willpower to attack. But I just wanted to make a quick point about that, because I do think we spend an excessive amount of time focused on the most rare of situations, when the thing that's really going to kill us in our lifetime is much less likely to be this tiny thing or this tiny thing, but to be something like this, or as you get older, something like this. So it's just all about proportion and risk and being realistic in our preparation. When the absolute risk is really low, the proportional changes are not really going to change a whole lot overall. So we shouldn't get obsessed over those kind of statistics, and instead focus on what we can control most in our day-to-day activities. And that would be ourselves and what we do and how we spend our hours and how we take care of our eating and sleeping and exercise and all of those various things that we can control.
What is it?
All right, so that's going to do it for this video. And I really welcome back Mango. If you haven't seen Mango, check out some of the older videos. She's not in Florida or Georgia anymore. She lives in New York, so we don't see her as often. This is a throwback video of Mango. Enjoy. Everybody take care. We'll see you in the next one.
Put it on the top, see when she jumps. See? cry up and see me. Now she's completely